Am I the idiot for refusing to support my son's pregnant girlfriend until she takes a paternity test? My son, male 24, and his girlfriend, female 24, have only been together for 6 months, and she is apparently 4 months pregnant with his baby. They have actually been friends since high school, and so my husband and I have known her for a few years as well. She is a lovely girl, but honestly she is not someone I had hoped would be the mother to my first grandchild. First of all, she is a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, and while she says she has been clean for 3 years, a relapse is always possible. She only finished high school with her JED, and she now works as a waitress full-time. Her parents died years ago, so she is largely on her own. Our family is considerably better off, and my son is joining his father's business, meaning his salary will be quite high and will only continue to grow. Since my son first told us she is pregnant, it can't escape my mind that he may not really be the father, and that she picked him out of potential others because he would be the best in terms of support. My son is pushing us to help her with some of her pregnancy expenses, and I told him we would under the condition that she get a paternity test first. He completely blew up at that, accusing us of disliking her, untrue, and not wanting her grandparents, also untrue. He says he loves her and trusts her and that he can't wait to meet his baby. I get that, but I think he's being idealistic. If he wants our support, we want a paternity test first. If the baby is truly his, then we would be happy to welcome her into our family and we would be happy to help her out. Am I the idiot? Edit. There are 7K replies to this post, and over 200 private messages in my inbox that I can't reply to. It's a pretty even mix of, you're the idiot, I'm not the idiot. So clearly the only thing everyone can agree with is that it's complicated. I've gotten messages to kill myself, I've gotten messages calling my son an idiot, and I have gotten messages from the MGTOW subreddit telling me that the girlfriend is clearly a lying sociopath. I have also gotten a lot of messages from men who found out their child wasn't theirs after several years, who wish they had found out sooner. It's a lot to read, and a lot to think about. Many people have called out my attitude towards this girl, and I'll be honest, it is making me think. Update. I received a message asking for an update, so here we go. After my original Reddit post, I talked to my son and asked him what kind of financial help he had in mind. According to him, since she does not have insurance, many of her medical costs were adding up, and he wanted to help her with those. A lot of people asked me why my adult son was reliant on us, but to us that is not unusual. He is a recent graduate, and while he will be making a decent salary soon, he has just entered the workforce and does not have much in the way of savings. Plus, our family has always believed in helping each other out. If my daughter was pregnant, we would no doubt help her. I expressed my desire for the paternity test for his benefit, but he would not budge on that. I tried to warn him of the countless stories of fathers duped into parenting children that weren't his, but he was certain. A couple weeks later, his girlfriend actually reached out to me herself. We met up, and she told me she was embarrassed he had asked for financial help on her behalf, as she did not want to take any assistance. This surprised me, as I assumed she was the one pushing for the money. She was uncomfortable with the paternity test idea, but said she would look into it if it bridged the peace between me and my son. With COVID, the paternity test never ended up happening. It just wasn't a priority. Over the past few months, I have been talking with them more and more, and my husband and I bought them a substantial gift for their new home as a gesture of apology and goodwill. We did offer financial help, but my son refused it. By the time the baby was born, I had gotten to know his girlfriend better and was warming up to her joining our family. She truly is a delightful young woman, more so than I gave her credit for. The baby was born 7 weeks ago. It's a boy, and my son is absolutely thrilled. I have not gotten to meet him yet, but I have gotten to see him over video chat and in photos. He looks like my son. It's not an exact resemblance, but I can see my son in this little boy's face, enough that paternity doubts are firmly in the back of my mind. Truthfully, I have fallen in love with this little boy, and watching my son grow into becoming a father has been the proudest thing in my life. If I had missed this, I would have never forgiven myself. No idiots here. I'm so glad you've been able to look past your misgivings and give your son's girlfriend the chance she deserves. I hope your mind stays open and that love finds you and yours in all its forms. Not the idiot. Wow, her agreeing to the paternity test should have erased all doubts in your mind. Unless she is capable of playing some 3D chess-worthy mental gymnastics, knowing you wouldn't push it if she said that. But it seems like you were trying to torpedo your son's relationship with a good woman. I don't have an issue with what you did though. Your first job is to protect your family's legacy. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for requiring my sister to sign a legally binding contract before I loan her money? I, female 42, have a successful career and inherited a decent amount of money from my late husband. I'm nowhere close to being a millionaire, but it's enough so that, as long as I'm smart with the money, to only work because I want to by the time I hit 45. That's including any college expenses my 2 children may have in the future, so long as they go to a state college. Family knows that I have money, and while I don't mind giving a couple $100 here and there, because I know I most likely won't get it back, I draw the line at anything $400 plus. They know this, but that still doesn't stop them from trying, and I've always stayed firm on this. Well, once the pandemic, my brother-in-law, male 35, lost his job, and my sister's, female 37, job have reduced her hours until further notice. 2 weeks ago I got a call from my mother asking if I could come over. I had no problem with this and swung by the next day and found my sister already there, and I could tell she had been crying. Based on the title, you all know where this is going. So with me, her and both our parents there, my sister informed me that even though her job was expected to go back to regular work hours in early 2021, there was a rumor that they would also be downsizing. She wasn't sure if her job would be secure, and brother-in-law still hasn't found any luck in getting a new job yet. I knew what they wanted and tried to play dumb at first and offer to help find brother-in-law and my sister jobs. My sister said that that was very generous of me and she would take the offer, but in the meantime what they really needed was a loan. My sister asked for at least $40,000 to help with paying off their credit card, manage the mortgage, make payments towards their student loans again, and still have some money left over in case the worst happened. I was quick to tell them that they were asking a lot from me, that while I did have some money, I didn't just have $40,000 laying around to give out on a whim. I told them I'd have to check my finances and think about it. After 2 days I started getting inquiring texts from my parents and sister and told them that I was busy this week and that I'd let them know over the weekend. I checked the numbers and it was cutting it a little close, but it was doable. However, I still didn't like the idea of just giving the money away without any reassurances that I'd get it back. I drew up a rough draft of a contract and emailed it to my sister stating that I was willing to give her money after she signed the final draft, and that the money would have to be given in 3 separate installments. My family was furious and said that as the older sister it was my duty to look out for my sister in her time of need, and to make her sign a contract was offensive. I countered with that since my sister has never paid me back whenever I loaned her money since the day I married my husband. I think this was more than fair. Everyone is still angry with me, so I just wanted a more neutral perspective. Am I the idiot? Edit. Wow, stepped away for a couple and I wanted to say thanks for the support. Also, I keep seeing a few of the same questions pop up, so I'm going to clarify, mention a couple of things. 1. My sister and her husband can't get a loan from the bank, or at least not much, because their credit isn't the best right now. 2. To my sister and brother-in-law's credit, they did have some savings but are burning through it since my brother-in-law is currently out of work, and my sister doesn't work enough hours right now. Also, they have kids. 3. After I got married, my sister started making little jokes that compared to what my husband makes, what's a few couple dollars to the family every now and then. Over the years I gave my sister at least $2,500 that she never paid back, and I just stopped counting after a while because it would get me upset. I just made it a habit to stop giving her money, although I would still pay whenever we went out to restaurants, the movies, or the spa. Edit 2. Okay, I had to step away again for personal stuff, and when I checked I saw even more responses all talking about how I would collect my money if my sister either refused or couldn't pay me back. I left that part out because I wanted to focus on just the idea of the contract itself rather than the technicality part. As previously stated, I emailed my sister a rough draft of the contract and was planning on having it notarized so that it was official, but as collateral I would owe ownership of her and my brother-in-law cars if they couldn't pay. Hope that clears a few things up. Update. In the end I contacted my sister and brother-in-law for a sit-down. Public so they couldn't cause too much of a scene, but private enough so we could vaguely discuss sensitive information, plus there was the social distancing. I simply did a basic laydown of the situation. I told them that I needed them to hear everything I had to say first, and if they interrupted me I would walk away and not lend them a cent. First, I told them that it is good to help the family when you can, but couldn't give them $40,000. I am able to offer them $3,200 divided by Mo for at least 6 months. I told them that I simply can't afford any more without it affecting my kids, and that I am a mother before I'm a sister or daughter. I also told them that I can't afford to bail them out every time they're in trouble, and that since the future is so uncertain I may not always have the means to care for others. My money is going to have strings attached, and if they didn't like it they could go somewhere else. I made it clear that I wasn't doing this to be mean or controlling, but I want to help my sister help herself. The rules were: A. The money would be deposited in a new joint bank account with one authorized signer. B. My sister and brother-in-law were going to meet with a financial advisor, which I would pay for. C. Since neither of them are working it doesn't make sense to have 2 cars, so I expect them to sell one of them and then our parents can let my sister or brother-in-law use one of their cars when they need it. D. Before they can get the first payment they will be having their meeting with the financial advisor, and I will be in the meeting just so I know they went. I made it very clearly that this is the best that I could give them. They looked upset, but I told them that beggars can't be chooser. They said they'd think about it. I knew that my sister was going to cry to our parents, so I called them as soon as I got in the car and told them everything. I said I'm not changing my mind, and that if they feel my sister needs more than what I'm offering, they're more than happy to downsize and sell their own home or take out money from their own retirement in SSI, since family helps family. If there's an update I'll put it here as an edit. Edit for info. I keep seeing this, so just so we're clear. The $3,200 divided by Mo is going to be a gift, and I told them that. I don't expect to ever see that money again, but I'm never going to give my sister and brother-in-law another cent after this, and I'm prepared to go no contact with her over this. I know my parents will never go no contact with me because I'm their first choice when it comes to taking care of them when they get too old to take care of themselves. Edit for info too. Forgot to mention that I don't really want sister and brother-in-law to sell one of the cars. It's just my way of putting pressure on brother-in-law to get a job, any job. He has a master's and was making, I think, around $75,000 at minimum, and now he wants a job in the same field making the same amount or more. If we weren't in a pandemic and he didn't have so much debt, I'd understand him wanting to hold out for something better, but right now you gotta do what you gotta do. You're the idiot. But to yourself if you do this, and I think this is going to end badly. They're horrible with finances, they have bad credit. They don't repay loans. They're going to take your money and pay off their debts, then get into even more debt. And you won't see any of that $40,000 back unless you sue them. And if they end up in the same position they're in now and won't pay you back, what will you do? You can't get blood from a stone, as the adage goes. Now, for the next story. Would I be the idiot if I tell my fiancé he cannot use my savings for his student debt? Some background info. I grew up in an Asian family in Asia with the mentality that my parents would take care of me and I would take care of them when they grow older. Because of this mentality, there is such a thing as separate finances in my household. My fiancé grew up in an Asian family in America and doesn't really have such a mentality growing up. Last night, I was going over my bank statement and my fiancé accidentally saw the amount of money I have in my savings. He was so excited when he told me that I can use that money to help him pay for the remaining student loan he has. I told him I can't do that. That money belongs to my family, my parents and I. Well, he didn't understand, so I told him that the reason I was able to save up was because there's a mutual understanding between my parents and I. I went to a state school near my house, so I didn't have any student loan. And when I got my job, I still stayed with my parents. My parents would still pay for the rent, utilities, food and such. I would then save up 2/3 of my salary every month. I also helped out with car insurance and other expenses if needed. Even though the money is in my account, I considered it as my family's savings. He told me that he's also my family now, and I should use it to help him out a little. I told him that I need to ask my parents, and even if they agreed, I can only help out a portion, but not all. He blew up, saying I was selfish and that this is America. He and I should be a unit, not my parents and I. This is a place where I think I would be odd because technically we are not married yet, and as for now, I don't think he can just demand it. Besides, even if we are married, I don't think he's entitled to my family's savings. It is simply not his money. Would I be the idiot to tell him my thinking on this subject? Edit. Thank you for all your responses. Some people asked if he's the man I want to marry, and frankly I'm thinking about the same thing nowadays. When we were dating, I told him upfront about my family dynamics and he told me he understood. He knew I had some money saved up and put aside, he just didn't know how much. He just completely changed after the engagement. I honestly don't know what happened to him. Edit 2. Thanks for all your support. Some people asked if my parents had a retirement plan, and the answer was yes. However, considering how we moved to America less than 10 years ago, his retirement plan cannot actually support both my parents. My fiancé and I currently live with my parents, and my parents didn't ask him to contribute to any household expenses because they considered him as part of the family. We didn't ask him to save his money or anything though. He can do whatever with his money. That's why it really shocked me when he didn't consider my parents as part of our family. I am rethinking about our whole relationship now. Edit 3. I know the notion of putting money aside for your parents sounds odd. Let me be a bit clearer. My parents never think that the money is theirs alone. I can use it freely if I want to. It's for the future, and if I choose to use it for his debt, they wouldn't mind as long as I discuss it with them. They would even use their own savings to help out if needed. If he asked and discussed it with my family and me instead of berating me, I am confident that we can work something out. Update. Thank you for all your responses and judgments. It made me realize we had some differences, and I had a long talk with him. Long story short, we broke up. He told me he only wanted to marry me because he saw my savings statement way earlier and thought I would share it with him. He moved back to his family. This happened weeks ago, but I just wanted times to feel like myself again, so I was delaying the update post. Thank you again, not the idiot. And I'm sorry to hear that Opus. Money can really turn people into monsters. Lucky for me I didn't start making a grip until I got married. I can see myself being very different if I started my career path in the private sector as opposed to teaching.